as far as the oscillators are concerned, these oscillators are very much useful as far as communication is concerned. A simplest example is your remote control. Okay, when it radiates a signal, okay, basically there's an oscillator of around 5.5 megahertz, which is kind of a crystal oscillator. So without applying any kind of input voltage, fine, it generates the signal, and for that we have to satisfy the Barkhousens criteria. If you recollect your remote, we don't apply any input to it. Okay, there are batteries that is to power the uh, active devices. Fine. So as a broad classification, we have seen a simple transistor circuit. Okay, it is a part of the amplifier, and if I provide a suitable feedback, fine, I can make use of it as an oscillator. So these oscillators, as I said, like they are very much important in communication. There is something called as local oscillator. Okay, now for example, when you are trying to intercept a signal, okay, a radio frequency signal, then these radio frequency signals, okay, they are to be converted into IF signal, intermediate frequency signal, and this is done using the local oscillators. So there are plenty of oscillators, and they are decided depending upon the our choice for the selection. So it can be as low as 10 hertz, or it can go up to in terms of gigahertz. So we have types of oscillators, for example, audio frequency oscillators, audio frequency AF oscillators. Then we have radio frequency oscillators, RF oscillators. Okay, then VLF, LF, very low frequency oscillators, VLF, then low frequency oscillators, and so on, up to we can go up to microwave oscillators. And this classification is based upon the approximate range. For example, when I say audio frequency, it is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So if I want to have kind of a oscillator to generate audio frequencies, then I need to go for a RC phase shift oscillator, which produces a oscillations of low frequency. Then when I say radio frequency, it is from 20 kilohertz to 30 megahertz. Fine. And here this is 15 to 15 kilohertz and so on. So we have got entire frequency range. Okay. This frequency range is subdivided into frequency bands. So right from the audio frequency to microwave frequencies, and each of these frequency bands will have in turn their own oscillators. And then we had also discussed about these oscillators. They can be classified as RC oscillators, LC oscillators, and then a crystal oscillator or tuned LC circuit. Now, RC oscillators, they are referred to as RC oscillators because, see, when it comes to the oscillator, we have an amplifier. Okay, so if this is the fictitious signal, I'll discuss what is fictitious signal. Say, for example, right now this is the input, output is amplified in the opposite direction. Okay, this is the output V naught. A part of the signal is connected back to the input. Fine. The part, meaning the fraction, is decided by this beta value in terms of percentage. So when in case of positive feedback, the most important thing is the feedback signal. So in case of positive feedback, the most important thing is this signal over here, which we had considered as a fictitious signal, input signal, and then here this is the V naught. The same signal is going to travel down the line, and that will act as an input to this feedback network. Okay, if this is properly connected, assembled, then this will produce the output, and that output, fine, has to be in phase with the input signal. Now you compare the two signals. The signal here is this kind of it, and here during the first half it is positive, here it is negative. So the job of this particular feedback network is to introduce another 180-degree phase shift. There is a phase reversal. The another term is phase reversal, 180-degree phase shift. So total phase shift around the circuit, around the loop, has to be 360 degrees or 0 degrees. Okay, this is the first point. And secondly, see, I had considered right in the beginning this is a fictitious, okay, for you all to understand. But then this feedback signal, it acts the input to the front end amplifier. So there is nothing as a called as fictitious signal. Just for the explanation, I consider there's a fictitious signal. Otherwise, the feedback signal acts the input to the amplifier. Now, what should be the degree of feedback? We know that in case of positive feedback, AF equals to A upon 1 minus of AB. Okay, this we have derived. This is for positive feedback. A is the gain, B is the feedback network, and AF is the gain with feedback. Fine. Now, the first condition is the total phase shift around the loop has to be 360 degrees. And the second criteria, which is proposed by this Barkhausen, is that it says that the product of A into B has to be equal to 1. Fine. Now, when I say, oh, this is a gain, okay, feedback gain. And when we say gain, it is nothing but output upon input. Simple thing, fine. Now, when I set AB, this product equals to 1, and how do I set it? Just take A equals to, say, for example, A say 56, okay, then this beta should be 1 by 56. So when I take the product of 2, I'm going to get unity, that is 1. What is this 56? It is simply a gain. And how do we calculate the gain? You take the amplifier here and take the amplifier, apply a signal of say 20 millivolts, fine, and you note down, and frequency has to be 1 kilohertz, and check out what is the output. If it is 2 volt, the gain is 100. And if you remember, the voltage gain can be controlled by RL by RE. So by properly selecting the value of RL and RE, you can accordingly select the gain of the circuit. Now, this has to be the case, fine. And we have this 56 value I have taken from the derivation that we have done in the last class for RC phase shift. If you recollect, the frequency for RC shift was 1 upon 2 pi under root 10 RC. Okay. So now there are two parts, the frequency part and the gain part. Okay. We have calculated that for RC phase shift, the gain has to be minimum 56. And normally, if I mount any circuit, is normally greater than fine. So this was about the Barkhausen's criteria. The first point is the overall phase shift should be 360 degrees. And the second point of interest is we have to set this product equals to unity, that is 1. So if I substitute this product here, then what I get, A upon 1 minus of 1 is A upon 0, that is infinity. So without and as I said, what is gain? It is a ratio of output to input. So without applying input, I'm going to get output here. How this is possible? Provided these two conditions needs to be satisfied. The first condition is it has to be a positive feedback. When I say 360 degrees, it has to be a positive feedback. And secondly, this product of A into B equals to 1. Okay. Now to begin with, you just have an amplifier, check out the gain. Say gain is 100, output upon input will get me the gain, fine. And then once you know the value of A, you can find out value of B as a reciprocal to it, 1 by 100. So the product will be equal to 1. Okay. Now, as far as oscillators are concerned, these are electronic circuits. So when I say electronic circuit, it requires electronic components. Now, the oscillators that are made up of resistors and capacitors, are referred to as RC oscillators. The oscillators which makes use of inductors. L stands for inductors, notation for inductor, and here this is capacitor. So the component here, the circuit uses inductor and capacitor. Fine. Inductor meaning simply a coil. So I'm going to have different types of oscillators based on LC configuration, how you place the capacitor inductor. Okay, you place one inductor into capacitor, it will form one type of oscillator. You take two inductors and one capacitor, it is another variation of oscillator. Then we have a resistor. Okay, this is the first stage. Fine. Last class we had also discussed this network. Okay, this RC network should provide me 180 degrees, and that value depends upon the phi, which equals to tan inverse of 1 upon omega CR. Depending upon the value of R and C, depending upon the value of R and C, it will introduce a shift. Okay, if I select this value of R and C such a way that, okay, this network, this simple network is providing me a shift of 60 degrees, then I require three such sections. Okay, RC and sorry, CR and another section of CR. Tan inverse of 1 upon omega CR. So depending upon omega is 2 pi f. So depending upon the frequency and the capacitors R, we can decide about the this angle, or we can fix this to say 60 degrees, frequency of our choice, capacitor to be say 0.01 microfarad, and then you calculate the value of R. Okay, then you mount this value of CR, you should get 60 degrees. If I make use of one RC section, okay, sorry, this is capacitor, and here I'm having a resistor. So if I select this value of R and C such that there is, what we mean by shift, if this is input signal, okay, when I say this has undergone a shift of 60 degrees, meaning there's a delay of 60 degrees. Okay, so depending upon the value of C and R, I can have this kind of shifting. Fine, phase shift it is called. Now if I select this value of R and C in such a way that I'm getting a phase shift of just a 30 degrees, so in that case I require total 6 such sections. Okay, if I select 60, I require 3 such sections. So it is not a necessary condition that I have to always stick with 3. Fine, it all depends upon the value of CR. In the textbook it say like you have to have 3 sections. No, it is not that way. It is depending upon the value of R and C. Fine. So here this is normal amplifier, common emitter amplifier, a single stage amplifier which is properly biased to work in the active region and to give the distortionless, faithful amplification. If this is input, output has to be amplified in the opposite direction. The same signal is going to travel now through this capacitor, and this will generate the output here. Output is across the resistor because this is connected with respect to ground. Now this acts as an input to the second section, output of which is developed across this R, which acts as an input to the third section, output of which is across R and which is connected to input. So this is about the phase shift. Okay, now with this idea we'll start with the Wein-Bridge oscillator. Before that, as I've said, like you don't require any input. Okay, without having any input, you get the output in case of oscillators. Now, how it is possible? So we need to have a starting voltage. As I have mentioned the analysis earlier, the simple block diagram, I've said like input Vi is assumed to be fictitious input, and practically no such input is required. The oscillator output supplies its own input under proper condition, and the two conditions are the phase shift has to be 360 degrees and the product of AB has to be equal to 1. Now the obvious question is, if no input is required, how oscillator starts? It's a simple question. I'm not applying in any input, okay, but then how? See, what I'm saying, a condition, a part of the output is taken and connected to the input. That means somewhere I'm starting with the part of the output voltage. That means I have to have output. So if I start from that chronology, there is output. That means I have to have some input. Now that the question is, how do I get that particular input to start all this mechanism? The question is, where does the starting voltage come from? Okay. Now here, every resistance has free electrons. If I talk about the resistor, okay, there are free electrons in the resistor. Under the influence of normal room temperature, these free electrons, they move randomly in various direction. These electrons under room temperature, they will move randomly. This motion is called as Brownian motion. Okay, such a movement of the free electrons generate a voltage which is called a noise voltage. What we want finally is the voltage, irrespective whether it's a noise voltage or distortion voltage, it is secondary. So we know that whenever the charge flows, okay, current is developed, our formal definition. So this resistor, even if I keep it on the table at some room temperature, this electron, okay, they will undergo a Brownian motion, meaning a random motion. And as long as there is a motion and there is a charge, there will be a small voltage which will be generated across the resistor terminal. And to begin with, we already have an amplifier in that A block. So if even if I'm this is also called a spurious signal. Okay, the other term is spurious. This is small signal, whether it's a noise is secondary, but it is a signal. This signal is sufficient to develop some kind of output, and because of feedback mechanism, okay, it will attain a sinusoidal shape because it is depend upon the frequency fine requirement. So I need to have some initial voltage. That initial voltage is given by the Brownian motion. Okay, so such noise voltages present across the resistors are amplified. Hence, to amplify such small noise voltages and to start the oscillations, the AB has to be kept greater than unity at the start. So we have to don't have to look specifically here. As I said, the transistor gain is has to be 56. So even if I take a transistor with a gain of 100, as long as it should be greater than 56, my conditions are met. Fine. So it is not that I have to design strictly that the gain has to be 56. Fine. It should be greater than 56 just to start the oscillations. And this is a feedback mechanism. Say you are driving a car, you see a speed breaker in front of you. What you do? You just lower your speed. That's a feedback mechanism through I. So that the same thing feedback is achieved in case of this oscillator circuit. Fine. Now, and ultimately it will the circuit will adjust itself to get AB equals to 1. Okay, so first you have to have the gain greater than the desired gain, and secondly it will take care of itself to make AB equal to 1. Having said that, I think we can start with the Wien bridge oscillator. Here is the circuit diagram of Wien bridge oscillator. Again it comes under RC oscillators. Why? Because you see in this circuit, this is the Wien bridge network. This is the Wien bridge network, and you see all this entire circuit is composed of purely a resistor and capacitors. There are no inductors here. So it is RC network. So this is the Wien bridge. Other term for circuit is network. Okay, Wien bridge network. So this is one of the most popular type of oscillators which are used in audio and sub-audio frequency range. So if my application demands to generate a frequency of 20 to 20, not negative, I'll mark the arrow, 20 to 20 kilohertz, then I have the option to go for a Wien bridge oscillator. Second option is the RC phase shift, but then this Wien bridge oscillator provides you know much more stable output. Now, if you look at this particular circuit, this type of oscillator is very simple in design. It is compact in size. There are no transformers, there are no inductors. Whenever you have an inductor or a transformer, it occupies the size because of their bulkiness, okay, the shape. Here it is compact in size, and because of that Wien bridge network, you are going to have a remarkably a stable frequency output. because of this Wayne bridge net. We'll discuss this. Okay. Now, secondly, its output is relatively free of distortion and its frequency can be easily varied. So if I want to change the frequency, uh, typically for here, okay, let me directly jump to the final expression f equals, this we are going to derive. Okay, before that, if I want to change the frequency, the term is f equals to 1 upon 2 pi rc. That means what? This frequency is a function of RNC. Which RNC? This R is equals to R1 equals to R2. Check out in this feedback network, there is R1 and R2. So if they both happens to be of same value, I can designate it as R1. But then for our understanding as of now, I just taken to be, it to be as R2. So, and here this capacitor C1 and C2 is taken as equal values, and then this total C1 equals to C2 equals to C. If I substitute in this equation, I get f equals to 1 upon 2 pi RC. Now, if I want to change the frequency, okay, before that, this frequency term purely depends upon RNC. And which RNC? These components, R1, C1, R2, C2. Okay. This R3 and R4 has got other functions to perform. Fine, we'll discuss this later. Now, uh, there are other components as well. See, the frequency is independent of your transistor because there is no transistor element here. Frequency is independent of your VCC. There is no VCC term. So this equation tells you so many things. Just look at the equation and you can make out this circuit frequency is purely dependent upon RNC. Okay. Now, if I want to change the frequency, either I have to change the value of R or C. Now, it is always desired to select the value of C. Okay. For example, if I want to calculate f equal to 1 kilohertz, if I want to design this particular circuit to operate at 1 kilohertz, then I select the value of C as, or say 1 microfarad, substitute C as 1 microfarad, F as 1 kilohertz, and you find out the value of R, that is the unknown. Okay. And then in the circuit, if you mount R and C, these values, you should get a frequency of 1 kilohertz. Okay. Now, why we select capacitor and why we vary the R? If I want to change the frequency, normally we change the value of R. The reason is the capacitor standard values are limited in number, and we have got a lot more, flexibility when working with the R. We have got too many options. This is one reason. Secondly, the variable resistors are very much cheaper as compared to variable capacitors. But having said that, many a times we have these two capacitors connected together. Okay, there's a slider mechanism, so I have to just change the slider. The value of C1 and C2 will change accordingly. That is what is called as gang capacitor. Even in RC phase shift oscillator, we had 3 capacitors and 3 resistors. Fine. And that value of C depends upon C1, C2 and C3 for RC phase shift here. So it is not possible for me to simultaneously change the value of C, C and C. So what we do is we combine them together. Okay. And then there's a slider mechanism. This is called as gang capacitor. So the maximum frequency output of a typical Wayne bridge oscillator is 1 megahertz. So we can operate this up to get a frequency of 1 megahertz. Now it also employs 2 transistors. Now this interesting thing here, it employs 2 transistors. Okay, and each transistor is capable, since this is common emitter is connected to ground. So this transistor, try to understand this. Okay, this transistor amplifier is capable of producing a phase shift of 180 degrees. So if this is the input, okay, fictitious input, output at this point will be amplified, which forms the input to the next transistor, and here again this will be amplified in the opposite direction. And all along this, the frequency has to remain constant. Okay, frequency meaning the time period has to remain constant. Okay, so now the question is, from this circuit arrangement itself, I am getting 360 degrees. Then what is the use of having this Wayne bridge network? Fine. So the total phase shift is provided by these 2 transistors. Now, essentially, it is a 2-stage amplifier with RC bridge circuit. Now, RC bridge circuit is this. So the phase shift across the network lags with the increasing frequency and it leads with the decreasing frequency. So the job of this is to provide a phase shift. Now what it says, on account of some spurious changes in the circuit, okay, functioning, there is a possibility that this frequency might deviate or it might shift, okay, or it might increase or it might decrease. So if this output frequency starts to increase, then it will be pulled back by this circuit arrangement, okay. And if the frequency happens to be less than the desired, then this part of the circuit is going to provide the push to the frequency. So the phase shift across the network, it lags with the increasing frequency and it leads with the decreasing frequency. So by adding this Wien bridge feedback network, the oscillator becomes a sensitive to a signal of only one particular frequency. Because of this circuit arrangement, okay, I am able to keep a check on the frequency. So output, see, the input to the first amplifier is taken from this point, fine. With respect to ground, if you are able to analyze, it is as good as I am having this R2 and C2 connected. See, normally we have this amplifier, isn't it? This is connected to ground. Here we have RC, R1, R2. The voltage to this transistor is the voltage across R2. Fine. Now try to relate to this particular figure. R5 is as good as R1, that is for the biasing. And what about R2? It is from the base, the second terminal goes to the ground. From the base, look out for the second terminal. Second terminal is here, it goes to the ground. So instead of R2, we are having a parallel combination of R2 and C2. Fine. And here, normally we have RE. So here in case of RE, we are having this resistor R4C from the emitter to the ground. From the emitter to the ground, we have this network. Different textbook will have different arrangement. Connection will be the same. They will show this in a straight line, okay, straight rectangular box. They will just drag this down. But the circuit connections are the same, meaning input and output points are going to remain the same. So by adding this Wien bridge feedback network, the oscillator becomes sensitive to a signal of only one particular frequency. That was like, for example, if I say that condition of 360 degrees is met with this particular transistor 1 and 2, okay, why not just take the output from here and give to this particular input? Logically it seems correct, isn't it? I am having 360-degree phase shift. If I control the feedback, how do I control the feedback? By placing a resistor here. So that will drop certain amount of voltage. I control the fraction of output voltage that to be connected to the input. But then it will so happen that with this simple arrangement, this will work, but then your frequency is not going to remain stable. And the very first thing and the last thing what we want from the oscillator is that I have to get a stable output frequency. That is the job of oscillator. That's why it is called as oscillator. Fine. So that care is taken by this network. So the job of this, one job of this particular circuit network is that the frequency is kept constant. So if I'm able to keep hold of this frequency, then I'm quite sure that frequency is going to remain for next two cycles as well. Okay, next two stages as well. So this particular frequency is that at which the Wien bridge is balanced. And you might have studied in the physics, this balancing networks and all. So I say Wien bridge is balanced, and for which the phase shift has to be 0 degrees or 360 degrees. If, as I've said, if the Wien bridge feedback network is not employed, then the output of transistor Q2, if it is fed back directly to the transistor of Q1 for providing that regeneration, or that is feedback to providing oscillation, what will happen is that the transistor Q1 here, this transistor, okay, will amplify the signals over a wide range of frequencies, and thus this direct coupling would result in poor frequency stability. As I said, what is most important is frequency stability. It should amplify at constant frequency and constant amplitude. Fine. Now let us thus by employing this thus thus by employing a Wien bridge feedback network, frequency stability is increased. So let me write here one important word for this particular slide. By having the Venn bridge network, okay, what we do is we increase the frequency stability. We are able to increase. So in the bridge circuit, this R1, okay, is in series with C1, and here R2 is in parallel with C2. So if I overall look at this particular diagram, only the network, then I can say that R1, which is in series with C1, R3 and R4, okay, is in parallel with C2 and R2 to form the four arms. Again, let me repeat this statement, is in series with this connection. Okay, so what I can say, like this R1, which is in series with C1, R3 and R4, is in parallel with R2 and C2 combination, okay, to form the four arms. So if I do the analysis of this bridge circuit, so the bridge will be balanced only when this condition R3 upon 1 plus j omega C2 R2. The capacitance is represented as 1 upon j omega C2, okay, into R2, and opposite it is this, okay, R4 into R1 minus j omega C1. Or I can simplify this as R2 R3 equals to R4 into 1 plus j omega C2 R2 into R1 minus j by omega C1. Or further simplifying this, I can write R2 R3 minus R4 R1 minus C2 by C1 R2 R4 plus j R4 by omega C1 j omega C2 R2 R1 R4 equals to 0. Okay, and then separating real and imaginary terms, I can write this as R2 R3 minus R4 R1 minus C2 by C1 R2 by R4 equals to 0, or C2 by C1 equals to R3 by R4 minus R1 by R2. Okay, from the real terms, as we have discussed, there are two important things we have to discuss about: the gain of the amplifier and the frequency of operation. Frequency of operation. This frequency we obtain from the imaginary terms equal to 0, and gain is obtained from making real terms equal to 0. So we have taken this real term. Okay, now if I set C1 equals to C2 and R1 equals to R2, then this equation reduces to 1 R3 upon R4 minus 1. So R3 should be equal to twice of R4. So this is one thing we have to keep in mind. The value of R3, this R3, should be twice of R4. And this is heat sensitive lamp. The voltage, thus we see that a bridge circuit, the output will be in phase with the input only when the bridge is balanced. And when the bridge is balanced, we say it is at resonant frequency only it will be balanced. At all other frequencies, the bridge will be off balance. That is, the voltage feedback and the output voltage do not have the correct phase relationship for sustained oscillations. Okay, so this bridge circuit can be used as a feedback network for oscillator, provided that the phase shift through the amplifier is 0, and this prerequisite condition is achieved by using two-stage amplifier. Fine. So in this arrangement, you see the output of the second stage here. This is the first stage. See, I'm applying this output voltage back to the input. This capacitor blocks the DC. Fine. There is nothing much of functions to perform for this capacitor. Output is traveling in this direction. and with respect to ground, this here is the ground. So this section will act as a divider. And what will be the input voltage? Input voltage is from the base to the ground. From the base to the ground is the voltage across this parallel combination. So the output from here is getting dropped across these two legs, okay, R1C1 and R2C2, out of which the voltage which is getting dropped here across this parallel combination will act as an input to this amplifier, first amplifier. Fine, I hope this part is clear. I'm taking the output from here. Always check out where is the ground. Here is the ground. So output, whatever I'm applying here, will be available across these 2 points, out of which the voltage which is getting dropped across this parallel combination will be applied to the transistor Q1. So transistor Q1, it serves as an oscillator and amplifier. So this transistor Q1 is serves as an oscillator and also an amplifier, whereas this transistor Q2 acts as an inverter. Why inverter? If this is the input, output is amplified, and again this amplified signal is amplified in the opposite direction. Fine. So this is inversion, 180 degrees or phase shift. So this circuit uses positive as well as negative feedback. The positive feedback is due to R1C1 and R2C2, the what I mentioned in the beginning. So this provides the positive feedback, and this section provides the negative feedback. How it provides the negative feedback we'll discuss now. And resistor R3 and R4 are also used to stabilize. So negative feedback, as we know, it is used for stabilization. We had studied 4 different types, okay? So negative feedback provides the stabilization. And what are the elements for stabilization? R3 and R4. So the two transistors Q1 and Q2, okay, they provide me a total phase shift of 360 degrees, and it also ensures that we have a proper positive feedback. The negative feedback is provided by the circuit to ensure constant output over the range of frequency. Fine. We know what is the application of negative feedback. It provides a constant output. Now, this is more important. This has got a major role to play. R4. Fine. As I said, it is a temperature sensitive lamp. Temperature sensitive lamp. Okay. In some of the textbook, instead of R4, you are going to see this symbol. This is one of the same thing. So this is R4. It is temperature sensitive lamp. Now, when I say a temperature sensitive lamp, it has its own resistance. Okay, this resistance increases with the increase in current. So resistance increases with increase in current. This is normally not the thing. Whenever resistance decreases, current increases. All this while we were studying. But this is some application specific temperature sensitive lamp. Only in this case, the resistance increases if the current increases. So this is something different. Fine. Now, in case the amplitude of output tends to increase, if the output happens to be more, okay, what will happen? More current will pass through it. Fine. More current meaning more resistance offered by this temperature sensitive lamp. More resistance meaning more voltage drop. And more voltage drop in the opposite direction will act as a negative feedback. Again, let me repeat this. R4 is used as a temperature sensitive lamp. Okay, temperature sensitive lamp. Fine. Whose resistance increases with the increase in current. Current is a function of your output voltage because we are providing a feedback. So in case if your amplitude of the output tends to increase, then more current would provide more negative feedback. How? If output happens to be more, if voltage happens to be more, it will have more current meaning more resistance meaning V equals to I into R. More will be the voltage drop across this resistor, And where it is applied? It is applied here. We had said, see, from the emitter to the ground, there is this R4. And you remember this always acts as a negative feedback. See, first stage, voltage across this will be in the opposite direction. So more negative feedback will negate the effect of increasing the output voltage. So this will be nullified. And the amplifier voltage gain A equals to R3 plus R4 by R4. And we know that R3 is twice of R4. This means A equals to 3. So gain of the amplifier should be 3. Let me write here. This is the first expression. This is the second expression. And A has to be equal to 3 minimum. Okay. Now the above, this corresponds with the feedback network, and attenuation should be how much? If A is 3, then attenuation beta should be 1 by 3. So in this case, the voltage gain must be greater or equal to 3. But then normally we always have a voltage gain greater than 50. So this won't be a big question for us. I hope this is clear. In a phase shift oscillator transistorized, the gain is 56. So beta should be 1 by 56. Here, the gain is 3 and the beta has to be 1 by 3. Okay, another 7 minutes are left. Operation, we have discussed it. So again, the circuit is set into oscillations by random change in the base current of transistor Q1. What is that random change? It is the Brownian motion in the resistors. Okay, so this change in the base current is due to the noise inherent in the resistors or transistor, or even with the DC voltage supplies somewhat change, this will set a spurious voltages. Now, look at the circuit diagram. Let me use this circuit diagram. This is much more clear, neat. So I have some spurious signal here. This variation in the base current is amplified by transistor Q1, and amplified signal is available in the collector terminal, but it is phase shifted by 180 degrees. Why? Because we are using common emitter configuration. Clear? The output of transistor Q1 is connected to the base of transistor Q2. What is Q2? The second transistor. Okay, this is the first transistor. Now this output of the first stage acts as an input to the second stage through capacitor C4, coupling capacitor. So this is further amplified. This signal is further amplified and it is phase shifted again, which appears at the collector of Q2. Okay, you can make out the difference. Again, what I've done a mistake here is the frequency has to remain the same. Fine. So having inverted twice, the output signal will be in phase with the signal input to the base. Now you see here, both are in phase. Their amplitudes are different. So as a part of the output signal at transistor Q1 is fed back to the input points of the bridge circuit A and C. It is this output is connected to terminal A with respect to ground C. So a part of this feedback signal is applied to the emitter resistor R4, where it produces a negative or degenerative feedback. So negative or degenerative feedback. Voltage across is the same. So whatever the voltage I'm applying here with respect to ground will be available across these two legs and these two sections. Clear? So at the rated frequency, the effect of regeneration is made slightly more than that of degeneration. And the frequency of oscillation is given as 1 upon 2 pi RC. And similar circuit can be obtained using op amp. Okay, or similar circuit can be it's not similar circuit, similar output can be obtained using making use of FETs. Okay, instead of transistor I can make use of FET, or I can make use of an amplifier. Okay, this is all about the operation. Applications. So here are the applications. It is used to measure the audio frequency. R1 equal to R2 equal to R, and C1 equal to C2 equal to C. Okay, now we can assume taking R1 and R2 equals to 200 kilo ohms, then required value of C will be 1 upon 2 pi f into R. How I got this? F equals to 1 upon 2 pi RC. So if I substitute 1 upon 2 pi into 15 into 10 to the power 3 into 200 into 10 to the power 3, the answer what you should get is 53 picofarad. Okay, and then R3, we can use R3 equals to 400 kilo ohms, and this implies R4 is 200 kilo ohm. R3 is twice of R4. Given that R1 equals to R2 equals to R is 20 kilo ohms, that is 20,000 ohms, and C equals to C1 equals to C2 is 1000 picofarad. Pico is 10 to the power minus 12. This is 10 to the power 3. So this is 1 into 10 to the power minus 9 farads. So frequency of oscillations F equals to 1 upon 2 pi RC. Let us substitute the value. 2 pi R is how much? 20,000, and C is 1 into 10 to the power minus 9. So answer you should get is 7.96 kilohertz. Okay. In your This completes the Wien bridge oscillator. I hope you people have understood. In the next class, I'll just take one small example of how we can vary the capacitance, or here for both the cases, example 1 and example 2, we have taken a constant frequency, frequency of 15 kilohertz, and the first one we have taken the frequency of how much? 7.96. What if I want to vary the frequency from 8 kilohertz to say 12 kilohertz?